Hey everyone, today we're doing something a little different. It's my Little Pony OC. Now, this is definitely something my younger self would have wanted, and I felt like I just had to fulfill that dream. So, let's get into it. This definitely stemmed from that one time I was on Netflix and I saw My Little Pony. I knew right then I just had to see if it was still good and it actually held up, and to say the least, I genuinely think it did. And as an artist and a avid character creator, my goodness, I knew that this was something I must do. My favorite character growing up that I related to most was Fluttershy, and she was basically the animal lover in the show, super shy, very easygoing, and that was basically me in a nutshell, and it still pretty much is. And I wanted to portray that love for her that my young self had in the design of my Little Pony OC. I made myself a Pegasus to portray that easygoing in relation to nature, and to play into that more, I definitely added a flower crown, which is also on one of my Minecraft skins that I use that also has a flower crown. Why am I running out of breath right now? Man, asthma is a butt. I wanted to do, for the cutie mark, I was a little bit stumped, I won't lie, but with just the love of animals and nature, I was like, you know what? I'll just do something simple. We'll do some different types of paw prints and cover them in flowers. And that's what I ended up doing. For the mane and fur color on my pony, I decided to just do something very close to my own personal hair and skin tones. So my hair is coppery with some reddish tones, darker browns. So I portrayed that in the fur and mane by making the fur color more of the reddish orangey, and then the mane, which I'll show later. I realize now, looking at this, it's so bright and orangey, and I'm so glad that I changed it. Yeah, right there, that was whenever I changed it to a more pleasing coral of an orange rather than the bright reddish brick orange, as the Crayola crayons would call it. We're going on, I was doing the underside of the wings, adding this tan color, which is more of my skin color, now that I look at that actually. I knew I just added that tan color to be a nice light difference to kind of balance out the color palette. Of course, the eyes are my eye color, the grayish blue, and I wanted to make her resemble a deer at least a little bit, because growing up I was always called baby deer because my legs were the biggest part of my body. They are long while the rest of me is short. And with my messed up bones, I fell a lot, and I still do. And growing up, that meant I was very clumsy and called baby deer, and I wanted to reflect that in my design. Here, I couldn't quite decide for the mane, kind of like I said. I loved how the white and the blondes look against these coppery colors, but I didn't want it to be completely that color because my hair isn't blonde. And I wanted the pony to resemble me as close as possible. So what I did was I ended up adding streaks of the blonde and going through and making the darker red the main color of the hair and the blonde. You can see right here that I'm blending each of these parts. Well, that part was completely useless and it was dumb, and I should not have done that because I ended up getting rid of all of it because I ended up hating it. But that's okay. That's fine. I'm gonna take this second while you can see me undoing to breathe. Here, I was changing the color and doing the details on the flower crown to make it a bit more pleasing to look at, and just adding the final details. I wanted to demonstrate the, of course you have the flowers and the more easygoing with the petals and the hair too. We all know Rapunzel and the flowers when she had that in her braid style hair, which I love and live for. I loved that scene where she moved quickly off screen and petals were left from her hair in her tracks. And I was like, I want to be able to just leave somewhere and have petals be where I were, or where I where I was previously. And I wanted to interpret that like as she flies away or gets startled or just anything or just moves, petals just fly off her wherever she goes. So anytime, you'll know she's been there because there's petals just everywhere. And here I was changing the outline and adding some finishing details in the shadows to make it more pleasing to look at, and blending together any contrast and any edgy or stiff lines and things like that, just bringing it all together. And yeah, that was pretty much the artwork. I had tons of fun making this, and I genuinely feel like I portrayed myself accurately when I was doing this one. I had made a few other ones, which I'll put up on screen in a minute, but honestly, this one's definitely my favorite, and I'm glad that this is the one that I made with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit different than my usual gaming videos, but I have a lot of interest and I want to share them with all of you and be able to spread that on my channel. Again, thank you for all your love and support, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. I will be streaming on Twitch as per usual, and yeah, love you guys. God loves you.